Lisa Parenteau, and I'd like to welcome you to Lifting Others as We Rise, the podcast where we dive into the world of real estate and the power of positive thinking. In each episode, we're going to bring you inspiring conversations with real estate professionals and other thought leaders who have really harnessed the power of lifting others up along their journeys. So let's get ready to elevate our mindset. Lifting Others as We Rise podcast, where inspiration is a catalyst for action. Let's go. Welcome to Lifting Others as We Rise podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Parenteau, Realtor, team leader, CRS, broker associate, most importantly, proud grandma to Eloise Ann, who's 5.5, Hazel, who's 1, and baby Navy Grace, who's about 5.5 months old, coming to you from beautiful Cape Cod. Each episode, my mission really is to uncover the inspiration and pivotal moments, kind of transformational stories behind people's real estate careers and real estate leaders across the country. I know that you'll walk away from this conversation, as hopefully all of our conversations, energized and ready to elevate your own journey from tips, tools, and takeaways from our guests. Today's guest is the incredible Angelica Ventrice, and I cannot wait for you to hear her story. I'm going to give you a quick little bio, of Angelica, but then we're going to jump right in because we've got so much to learn, especially how you come to be in Hawaii. Because you are a New York native, now in Maui, where you help women transform their lives through mindset, health, and business coaching. After overcoming years of depression and losing 40 pounds through personal growth, Angelica left her medical sales career to follow her passion for empowering others. And I saw that on your IG that said, medical sales to $14 an hour at a gym. Ask me how.
Literally.
Yeah. As the founder of the Aligned Method, she guides powerhouse women to rewire their minds, reclaim their bodies, and achieve peak performance in life and business. Her mission is to help women become fully aligned inside and out. Sign me up, Angelica.
Let's go. I actually work with men and teams now as well. So that bio, I think it was a little bit from before, but yeah, I work with men and teams. It started out with, just women, but I've expanded. So I love it. The type of work I do, high performance coaching can really help anyone, especially in the real estate industry.
So,
and yes,
and we have a lot to unpack, I want to hear about that, where you are today, but really the juice is always in the stories that we have, that we hold inside of ourselves, stories that we tell ourselves, but also the stories that we continue to find out are really the true, our true self, capital S. So tell me a little bit about who was one of your very early mentors that kind of helped you realize that you were made for more.
actually one of my old clients when I was a personal trainer at Equinox Gym. So I left New York, moved to Cali, left the pharmaceutical sales job, followed my passion for health and fitness. And my first thing was, I was like, all right, I'm going to get a job at a gym. I'll go to Equinox Gym. I'm sure you heard of one of the biggest.
Of course, high end. Yeah.
One of the luxury gyms in the country. I go in there. They didn't even want to hire me because they're like, you're a bit too New York for Cali. And I'm like, well, let's go. So they hired me. I worked my way up. And my first client, we're still friends. So I've known her for 12 years. She's an entrepreneur still. And we would have these talks and she would be like, you're meant for, like, literally what you said, you're meant for more, you're meant for more. And she maybe gave me a book, a Dean Grazioso book.
Okay. Yeah. One of Tony's partners. Yeah.
Now I'm forgetting the name. It's in my living room, but it's a Dean Grazioso book. Yeah. I read that.
Like Millionaire Mindset or something, or
something like that. Yeah. I read that. And then I read You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. And I was like, I'm done with the gym. I'm done with the gym. I'm meant for more. And I saw, as I was personal training people, like, it wasn't my dharma, right? It wasn't like, it was a piece of me. But what I saw, what I was good at was, I was like their therapist. I was their life coach. I was changing their life. Yeah, their body was changing, but we were working through some deep stuff in these personal training sessions. So I was like, oh, I'm meant for way more than just being a fitness coach. And like, so yeah, fitness transformed my life because yes, I lost weight, but where I am now is so different, right? I'm doing something so different. I'm helping people on such a different level, overcoming traumas, the mental, the emotional health. Yes, the physical is a piece of it. So really it was those conversations with her and seeing how she was such a successful entrepreneur, because I didn't grow up with entrepreneurial energy around me. My dad was a cop. My mom was a nurse, was very blue collar. So I don't even think I knew the word entrepreneur, honestly, till I moved to California. And then I was in the corporate pharmaceutical sales world. I was a corporate recruiter. So I never really was associated with that term. And then I met Kathleen and I saw what she was doing and how well she was doing. And those conversations spurred. And yeah, she was actually the first one to push me in that direction. And we're still friends to this day.
And she kind of believed in you before you believed in yourself, it sounds like.
She saw something. She was like, yeah, you can do other things. You should do other things. You don't need to be stuck here. And then I read those books and I was like, I'm done. Here we go.
Dial it back a little bit. How did you kind of find yourself in sales? So you said your dad was a cop, your mom was
Oh,
a nurse. You're kind of
yeah.
growing up in that, 9 to 5 kind of,
Yeah.
or whatever, like structure. How did you find yourself? 'Cause pharmaceutical sales can be a little bit of a wild west, I
Yeah,
think.
it is. So I'll tell you. So I actually started selling when I was 16. My first job, as soon as I got my junior's driver license in New York, my parents were like, great, you can drive, get a job. That's how I grew up. Like you get straight A's, you work, you get a job. So I drove myself to, the mall to sell sneakers. When all my friends were like out doing things, I was working.
Yeah.
And then I worked there all the way through college. So when I would come home on college breaks, I worked there. And then, I waitress in college, which waitressing is essentially sales. So I've always been really good at talking to people, relating to all different kinds of people. Like my clients are ages 30 to 75. So, and men and women. And it was kind of like that when I was selling sneakers. I was like, wow, and we didn't make commission, but I was like, wow, I'm pretty good at this. I could sell any sneaker to anyone, even if they were just coming and looking. And I realized like, oh, I'm good at this. And I liked it. I liked talking to people. Then when I graduated college, I was a sales recruiter. So I did corporate recruiting. I hired sales professionals for a mattress. Have you ever heard of Sleepy's mattress company back in the day?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
I worked for Sleepy's. Oh my gosh. And then they
Right.
fired me. I was the number one rep, the number one sales rep, and I got fired. The manager didn't like me because I spoke up for myself. And my numbers were really high and I did well. And she didn't like that I clocked out at 5. Like I was like, I'm done. I'm hitting my numbers. I'm doing well. I'm gonna have boundaries. And she definitely didn't like that. So I got fired. And then I got the pharmaceutical sales job and that, I did that for a while. And yeah, pharmaceutical sales is wild, wild west. I got laid off
Yeah.
from that. That was the whole thing. But yeah, so that's how sales started. And yeah, neither one of my parents did sales, but my dad always pushed me to do something that makes good money. Money doesn't grow on trees, all the money wounds. Thank you. Money
Yeah.
doesn't grow on
Yeah. I hear
trees.
you. I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, money doesn't grow on trees, Jill. My parents call me Jill. Money doesn't grow on trees. You got to work hard to make money. And those are wounds I'm still working through, but that's where I think the sales push came from.
So high performance, so you talk now about high performance coaching. I want to find out, you said you got that nod from Kathleen, someone who kind of believed in you, maybe before you believed in yourself that you could do
Right.
something else. That path to coaching is
Yes.
usually, I don't know if you have the different certifications and, all of that kind of coaching stuff that comes with coaching, but tell our listeners a little bit about how you kind of found yourself exploring, investigating, figuring out, did you have a plan or did you just kind of keep putting one foot in front of the other?
I never really have a plan. So when I left New York, when I left New York and moved to Cali, it was like, this is what I'm doing. I'm leaving the pharmaceutical sales world and I'm going to be in the health and fitness world. And I had no job and I moved and I have a lot of trust in myself and a lot of belief. And if there's a piece that I would give the audience, whether it's for your body transformation or your business or you're starting a business or you're shifting, the belief in yourself is the most powerful thing because people around you are not going to believe you. People around you are going to want to pull you down. I mean, my parents thought I was crazy making multiple 6 figures, leaving that lifestyle and career to just go, like you said, work at a gym and make $14 an hour at first. You know what I mean? But I had such a strong belief that I knew it was going to lead me somewhere. And I was willing to take the short-term hit for the long-term gain because look where I am now. So I didn't have a plan. I knew about Equinox, so I went there first, right? And then when I was at Equinox, when I left, I was like, okay, I wasn't initially planning to go online. I was doing in-person
Because
coaching.
what year was that? Because was that, I mean, was the internet today's internet or no?
Oh no, I didn't even have an Instagram. Like I didn't even have an Instagram. What year? I was, let's see, I'm 42. I was 30. So this is like 12 years ago. 12.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't even have an Instagram. Facebook was a thing, but I wasn't big on it. I didn't post because I'm very outdoorsy. I wasn't someone to always be online, which is ironic now that my business is entirely
Right.
online.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when I left Equinox, I was like, what am I going to do? And I saw an ad actually for this online coaching. And I was like, what the heck is coaching? I consider myself like a trainer at the time, like a nutrition trainer.
Got it. Yeah.
Got on the call with this coach. He explained it to me. I went through a business coaching program, and that was 8 years ago. And I started my online coaching. And at first, it was more like nutrition and working out. And then it evolved into gut health and hormones and perimenopause. And then it evolved into mindset and identity and life coaching. And then really how I know a lot of realtors, they're obviously listening, like, what does this girl know about realtors? I got one real estate client 8 years ago. And what I realized was realtor's background is very similar to pharmaceutical sales. You work out of your car. You're driven by numbers. You live out of your car. You barely eat all day. You work from burnout and adrenaline. There's a ton of pressure on yourself. And I was like, oh, this was me. Like the way you're operating, that was me. So I really found this synergy between me, and it's all about energy when you're coaching people, right? The energetic exchange. Like I don't vibe with coaching stay-at-home moms, right? It's not who I am. I vibe with coaching high-level entrepreneurs, and many realtors are that.
We're all entrepreneurs. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's where I found that, like, oh, you're me, I'm you. We're mirroring, right? So that's how it spurred. And then ever since then, it's been a lot of realtors, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of high level marketing executives, et cetera. So I just took a real affinity for coaching realtors because I saw myself in them. I saw them when I was overweight, like I was pushing how they were pushing, really uncomfortable, misaligned, entertaining, all the things that come with the real estate job. A lot of them are similar to pharmaceutical sales. So that's how I started coaching realtors.
And I think a lot of them are also close to coaching. I know a lot of realtors who've gone into coaching because there is that drive. There is that you are an entrepreneur. You like the nice things in life,
Yeah,
but you
totally.
also want to help people at some level, like that. Or there's a service piece. I won't say help people because but there's a service component for sure, whatever that looks like,
Yes.
and yeah. So I think that there are some real similarities. Interesting that you picked up on that, kind of earlier in this in
I
this.
did. Yeah, I did. And by the way, when I started my online coaching, I didn't even have an Instagram yet. It was just Facebook. And yeah, it just has grown that I decided I was very resistant to getting on Instagram, but we're all good now. But you have to make those adjustments as you start to grow your business. But big changes.
So let me ask a question about high performance. So you mentioned a few times that you work with high performance clients, and I think I would be probably correct in calling you a high performance a coach, and I mean high performance individual yourself. That's something that's a standard you hold yourself up to.
Yes.
Um, I don't know how we find ourselves at those tables, but suddenly we realize we're at that table, right? It often requires really navigating seasons of doubt and and transition. And you talk about kind of facing some depression in your life. Tell me a
Yeah.
little bit about that person, that space, that place, and what was that kind of pivot and situation for you that you found yourself morphing into the high performance person that you are today?
Yeah, so this is a loaded question. I'll be totally transparent. So my grandmother committed suicide when I was in my mid-20s.
Mm.
And that is the lowest level of self-worth I believe that anyone can carry. And, I believe in ancestral coding and ancestral trauma. My mom carries it. I carry it. So I believe growing up, I was carrying some of that. I was overweight. I had acne. I didn't love myself. And that has carried with me through many years. As I got older, after I lost weight, I've done a lot of self-work, spiritual journeys, life coaching. I still have two coaches today. I believe in doing the work, right? I can't lead people if I'm not doing the work myself. And it's been through all the work that I've done literally for the last 15 years that have gotten me out of that. Because, God bless my grandmother, but I never wanted that to happen to me. So it's a conscious choice every day when you've struggled with depression, when you've struggled with that, it's a conscious decision every day when I wake up. Who am I going to be? What energy am I going to operate in? Is it sunshine and rainbows all the time? Definitely not. Do I have bouts of depression? For sure. But I don't go to deep, dark places, and I have really good routines and practices that keep me out of it. So it's a choice every day, right? It's a choice to do gratitude. It's a choice to live. Why do you think I live by the beach? Why do you think I live in a sunny climate? Because in New York, I had really bad seasonal depression. When it was dark and dreary and rainy, it wasn't good for me. So I specifically live here. Yes, it's beautiful, it's warm, but like also for my mental health, it makes a big difference for me. So there's things that I implement in my life to keep me out of that. And yeah, I have a deep purpose and a deep dharma in what I'm doing, and I want to help other people rise. And I know that a lot of people struggle with this. And I also refuse to take medication. And there's nothing, I'm not knocking it, but I really believe in that we can heal ourselves. So that's the work I do. Oh, look, we have our matching cups. Yeah, we have our matching cups.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I know that you're in touch with Wendy Forster, our CMO. I saw that she's liked your stuff, so I don't know how, or she's connected with you on
Oh,
LinkedIn.
I was on our podcast.
Yeah, she is a powerful, powerful.
Yeah, she's great. And then she recommended me to Inman. So yeah, she's great.
Lovely. Yeah, well, I think it's so interesting that you talk about the choice. There's a line that actually Tony, and like someone just said, stop saying that Tony said it, just say you said it, but you always have a choice, no matter what. And I think that that is so true. I think people feel so disempowered around that when we're driven by our ego and our ego is kind of crumbled. We don't realize that if we work from a deep place inside, yeah,
Heart space versus ego space. I just did my mindset call with my girls on this last night.
Right?
So much.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same, people don't understand what's right underneath their fingertips, and it takes a coach of some kind, whether it's
I agree.
a minister or whether it's, like it doesn't really matter, but someone who's willing to guide someone to the point where they can say, I don't have to feel this way, but I need to change something. In order to change something, I have to do things differently. And so, making those conscious choices. And I love the way you say that you do that you have to do it every single day, because you will be prone to falling into, another space. And, we can say it's okay to experience that stuff. Just don't pitch a tent. Don't stay there.
Yeah, we're all going to experience it. Like we all experience seasons in business. I think for the first year, this last year, I had what we call a winter season in business. My business coach was explaining to me, I was like, what is this? I never experienced this before. So we all go through seasons in our life, seasons in our business. And yeah, it's doing the work, right? You don't go to the gym one time and build a nice booty. You consistently go. You don't eat one healthy meal of vegetables and asparagus and salad and woo, I lost the weight. So it's the same thing with your mind, with the somatic healing, with everything. It's every day.
So how do you encourage people around the consistency? Because I think that's an issue that many of us face. And I know with realtors, we typically also probably have done pretty well. So not only do we have shiny object syndrome, but we can also pay for it. So kind of gets us into a situation where we're looking for something. And also, again, that's all outside of you, right? That's not the stuff that's going on inside. So tell us a little bit about the consistency piece. How do you coach folks around that?
It comes down to identity coaching. So what you just said was all like ego. We like shiny objects. We like nice things. We look to I'm the number one rep in the region or whatever it may be. Like, right, I was the number one rep when I did pharmaceutical sales. I get it. That accolade, you feel good. And that's the high performers identity trap is what I call it. This stems from when we're kids and our parents gave us love for all these things. And then, it goes way back. But the coaching becomes around identity. It's really how you're operating on the inside. So too many of us are like, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? I'm like, who do you need to be? And the identity shift has 4 phases: awareness, activation, embodiment, and mastery. And it's not until you actually get to mastery, which can take 2 to 3 years, where then you're like, okay, this is a piece of me. So if a realtor is struggling with a piece of consistency in their business or in their health or, in their mental health, whatever it may be, we're starting with the awareness phase and we're identifying it. And we're saying, like, we're calling it out, we're naming it. And that's where it starts. And then we're activating it. And activating is kind of what you just talked about. You're going to be met with resistance. How do we move through that resistance? How do we move through the discomfort? And then we go into embodiment, where, I mean, these are like deep phases in my coaching, but embodiment is like when it starts to become pieces of who you are. And then mastery is, like I said, 2 to 3 years. So consistency takes a long time. True change takes a long time, but you baby step it. And the first thing is always naming it and having a level of awareness and quieting the ego, because the ego is going to say, oh no, but you're safe and comfortable. And you're going to have to call it out and call it out. And as you move through these phases, literally when you're like in that activation phase, when you're trying to move forward, when you're trying to become more consistent, you're going to have to hold that line. You know what I mean? Because you're going up against the ego and years of subconscious programming.
Yeah, absolutely.
So identity work. It's not even mindset work. It's literal identity work, because it's living in the coding of your system. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I love the way you say that it's not just, I mean, mindset unfortunately has become kind of a trigger, right?
I know. I know.
And not a trigger, but just like a word that's like sort of too common. But I think there's some great value in what you're calling it out. It's more descriptive, and I really love the fact that it's identity coaching because that's something that we have. So I've seen in the kind of work I do in some other parts of my life. We've worked so hard to build this house of cards around our wounds, right? And we don't
Yeah.
even know that because we had to do it to survive. You know, we
Right.
and many of
Yeah.
us are surviving pretty darn well. But
Right.
really, when you start to pull those cards, it's almost like a Jenga game, right? It's
You
like a
strip
Jenga
away the
where the
layers. Yeah. You
yeah,
strip away the layers and you
yeah.
find, oh, well, that's why I felt that way. Or that's why I don't feel I'm making all this money, but I don't feel totally fulfilled.
Mhm.
All these
Yeah.
things come up. I mean, coach so
That
many women.
identity
They're like,
piece.
oh, I didn't know I was a people pleaser. Oh, I didn't know I had this trait. I'm like, well, here we go. Let's go deep with this. So the work is never done.
My teacher, Elena Brower, just released a book. It just got here yesterday. And as I was flipping through it, there was a little passage about savoring being yourself. And I thought, oh my God, that is just
Wow.
such a delicious way to look at
Beautiful.
all of that, but then finally getting to really savoring,
Your true authentic self, which most
right?
of us don't even know who that is because of all the cards and I call them jackets. The jackets we put on over our lives are weighing on us very heavily, that we've lost touch with who we really are and what we really desire.
Can you share with us something that's been really surprising as you've been on this journey the last few years and working with high performance realtors, but also just helping them uncover, as we're talking about. I think that's part of this journey, right? Is the four steps that you mentioned, but certainly the first one's awareness. And people must be already they're volunteering for coaching, so they're kind of aware that something is not aligned, for sure. But tell me about something that's really surprised you.
I think it's surprising that there's still so many people out there that
Mm.
know they need the help, but are afraid to either ask for it or actually get coached. Because yes, I've coached a lot of people, but I know there's a lot of, I see it. I know there's a lot of people liking my stuff and watching my stories, and I could feel their energy. I'm like very in tune with energy, as I'm sure you are. And it's like, they need help or they've messaged me. But it's surprising how many people are still to this day afraid to take the leap to like put
Mm.
themselves into a container where they're going to get a little bit uncomfortable, quite honestly.
But what do you attribute that to?
Oh, I think people say we're in a trust recession, or I think a
We're
lot of
in a
people
trust recession. Oh, mercy, I have not heard that. I didn't
in the
even
apparently
know.
in the coaching world, like, oh, you're like there because the coaching industry has really blown up, right? But I've been coaching for 15 years, but there's a lot of newer coaches with a lot of claims and a lot of crazy things that have gone on in the industry. But I think that just some people they don't want to do the work. They don't want to lead
Mm,
into the
mm.
uncomfortableness. They're overtaken by their ego and they play the game of just strategy. Well, I just need one more strategy. Well, let me try this strategy, or let me buy this course, or let me follow this person. And it's like the deep work needs to be the identity
Mm.
work. And you're most likely not going to be able to do that on your own.
Yeah, I was gonna say you need a guide for
Yeah,
that, but
you
I
need a
think
guy. But
people
what I
are
see is a lot of people just like looking for more and more strategy. Like, what's the next strategy? What's the next strategy that's going to help me get more clients or XYZ, right? So it's less, what's surprising is how many people don't realize that the work needs to be in the identity work, in the certainty in who you are as an individual and the energy you're carrying day in and day out, because that's what helps you build your business, who you are, who you're being.
yeah, yeah. And how does this continue to change who you are, Angelica?
I mean, I think that we're all always changing and growing, even
Mhm,
just me
mhm.
from the beginning of 2025 until now. So this is the work that I teach and this is the work that I embody. So, I have a coach, I have two coaches, and I'm always doing the work. How does it change? I can't answer that because I don't know, right? We can't predict the future. So I know I have desires
Have
and
you
where we're
felt some real shifts? I mean, what shifts have you felt as you've been doing this work and as you continue and even recently, what shifts have you felt in yourself?
a deeper knowing of who I am and what I want,
Mm,
stronger boundaries, saying no more, right? If something does not feel aligned. And I think that also happens like when you move into your 40s and beyond, you're just like, there's no room for the BS. So really knowing who I am and what I stand for. I've been in a lot of coaching containers where I feel the coaches have tried to mold me differently.
Mm.
And oh, don't curse or don't do this. And I'm like, well, I'm from New York. This is how I talk, or this is how I flow, right? And trying to mold me or trying to make me fit into a box. And now I really, in this deep knowing of who I am and what I desire and where I want to go, I don't do that anymore. I don't play that game. Yeah, it's just a deeper knowing of who I am and what I desire and very strong boundaries, like very strong boundaries to the point where people are almost surprised sometimes when I reply to them because they're not grounded in who they are, but I'm grounded in who I am.
So quick side note, because I was just on with my Tony Robbins coach right before this call, actually, speaking of coaches.
I had a Tony Robbins coach years
I
ago when I
have
did
what,
this.
yeah, more than one coaches as well, about her suggesting a boundary that I honestly had not even considered. Good suggestion. How did you come to be redefining those boundaries for yourself? How does that show up for you? Through your coaches?
No, not the boundary setting is not through my coaches. It's from within me. It's from my own personal growth. And if I think back, I think it becomes, I got bullied as a child. I was fat. I had a big
Mm.
nose. I was made fun of a lot. And I think that can give me like a little bit of a harder exterior. We carry these things with us. So all the things that you go through in your life, they shape you, right? So I just think that I just have these really hard lines where I'm like, no, I'm gonna be who I want to be. I'm gonna do what I want to do. And that doesn't come from my coaches telling me to keep better boundaries. But I know I coach a lot of women through boundaries and people pleasing. But for me, no, that just is something innate that as I've gotten older, I used to be like, yeah, I'll do that when I didn't really want to do that. Okay, that sounds good, and be more wishy-washy. But as I've gotten older and I really have come to know who I am through coaching, through
Mhm.
my experiences, through building this business, through the weight loss journey, through the spiritual journeys, boundaries are something that I can assert very easily now. I don't feel guilty for saying no or holding the boundary.
Yeah,
Whereas
I
a
think
lot,
for so many of us, we've been in a place where we've fought pretty hard for the place that we're in today. And
right?
so we don't wa- I don't want to be seen as someone who's not being collaborative, not being cooperative. And yet now I find myself much more saying that does not resonate or align. I want to talk to you real quickly about the align method before we leave. And I can't, there's an acknowledgement of a deeper self when I speak those truths
Exactly.
now, you know?
Exactly. It's like you're
Yeah,
speaking your truth. I'm
yeah,
speaking my truth.
absolutely.
And it can take a long time for people to get to that point because of the stories and the fears and the ego. And this is where coaching comes in, right? The stories, the fears, the ego. Even I had a realtor that I work with. She's amazing. She's with EXP as well. When we started coaching, she was unaware of her people pleasing tendencies because she's
Mm,
badass. Like she's a rock star and she's pretty like hardcore like me. But there was the little things that she was doing, and she's like, "Wow, I didn't even know I was people
mhm,
pleasing." It
mhm,
just shows
mhm,
up in these
mhm.
little ways where you say, sure, I'll take a call at 8:30 a.m. when you know you don't want to, you know you don't want to start your morning till 9.
Yeah.
Why are you taking that call? It's like little things like that that we're just like, and then it chips away and it chips away and it chips away. And then that's how we get burnt out.
Burnout, yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. Or
So
resentful, right? I mean, for me,
resentful. Yeah.
that's
But
the
also
poison.
resentful is a
Yeah,
feeling, a low
yeah,
vibrational feeling that leads to burnout
yeah,
in your body,
yeah.
right? So, because our feelings and our thoughts affect our physiological body too, right? So, whole another topic.
Yeah, I know, but it starts with the awareness, you know, and oftentimes it really does take someone else to suggest someone else who
Yes,
has no agenda other than your lifting, right? You know,
exactly.
which is why I think it's
Lifting them up.
so
Exactly.
important. You know, the coaching is such an important piece. Tell us real quickly about the Align method, and then we're going to be wrapping up pretty quick. But tell me
Sure.
about
Yeah.
the
So
Align method and how can our listeners, well, we'll put all your info in the show notes, of
yeah,
course. So
Instagram. Just connect with me
yeah,
on
yeah.
Instagram. If you're not on Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook, just my name, Angelica Ventrice. So the Align Method has two routes. You can work with me one-on-one for the business, identity, nervous system coaching. And then the other route of the Align Method is a holistic health coaching program, which is, we have a lot of women in perimenopause and menopause. So that's hormone health, gut health, holistic nutrition. We do everything, root cause, and then there's nutrition and workouts and mindset coaching in that as well. We have a breath work, somatic healing coach in our program as well. So two routes. All the links are on Instagram or any of the other platforms. Send
All
me a
right.
message. I'm always
And are
on.
you doing the nutritional coaching or do you have someone that you work with that does that?
So my coaches do, the coaching that I do is high performance. I don't do any of the nutrition coaching anymore. I help them with the gut healing protocols, but no, I don't do any of the nutrition coaching. The work that I do is I coach teams and I coach, realtors, high performance and mindset, identity, and nervous system, which essentially turns into business coaching as well, because I'm helping them with their businesses, but from a unique lens.
Yeah.
Not just tactics and strategies. Yeah.
With my business coach, we end up talking about business, but then we always end up talking about the personal instead of, it goes the other direction.
Yeah, of course.
It's kind of funny.
Well, yeah. Of course. Yeah. I'm helping them with their business, but from a lens of like nervous system, identity, energy, wealth calibration. Like, how can you scale and hold this amount of money and all the things?
Yeah. You're only bringing yourself to every one of these situations. So it rolls back to that pretty darn quickly for sure,
Exactly.
So this has just been fascinating, and I just feel so grateful that we are together today and have had this very brief conversation. And I've learned a lot from you, for sure, already in this short period of time. I do have one question that I often ask my guests as we wrap up, and that is, share with us one of the most amazing compliments that you've received from someone you've worked with, and tell us why that was so inspiring for you.
Oh, wow. This is a big question, Lisa. Let me think for 1 second. Being called authentic and real. I actually just interviewed a woman for my program the other day, and she said that. And when I've given keynotes, and I appreciate that because I really feel we're in the age of AI. I love AI, but there's a lot of not real things out there. Sometimes if someone could post a video, you're like, is that them? We don't even know, right? So, and I think there's a lot of people who still don't know who they really are, and they're trying to be someone else. And when I speak and when I give and when I teach, I'm just me. I'm not hiding anything. So that's a really important compliment to me, because that's something that especially in the online world, I think gets overlooked, because people see pictures and people can see, they may see me in a different light, like, oh, well, she has this and she has that. But like when it comes to me speaking and teaching, that's really important compliment to get. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and the authenticity, and again, like I was just mentioning with what Elena had said about savoring that person that you are authentically you, and that someone can see that is really beautiful.
Yeah,
work at that.
Yeah, exactly.
Work at that for sure. Yeah. Thank you again so much, Angelica. This has been absolutely a treat. I know the listeners will have also felt that so much, and so again, thank you so much for joining us, and we will connect. Hopefully we can continue to connect and maybe each other. Our paths will cross somewhere else.
I hope so. Yeah, I love your energy. Thank you.
Thanks. All right. Thank you for joining us on another amazing episode of Lifting Others as We Rise. I hope you make sure to follow through on today's Catalyst for Change. If you enjoyed today's insights, please be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. You know your feedback really does matter. Stay connected for more uplifting conversations, because remember, when we lift others up, we all rise together. So until the next episode, keep the positivity flowing and keep lifting up others around you. This is Lisa Parenteau signing off from Lifting Others as We Rise. Take good care.